Welcome everyone, welcome back to my channel. So today I'm going to be showing how I made this double flay. So this is the length of my dress. So I decided to extend the length by some inches and I decided to add that flay to it. So the first thing I need to do is to draft my pattern for my flay. So I'm going to be using 3 inches, no measurement, I'm just using 3 inches. Feel free to use 4 inches, 5 inches. So I'm going to be using 3 inches for the circumference, and that's what I'm doing down here. So the length I'm going to be using is 8 inches. Feel free to use 10 inches, but I'm using 8 inches for it, and I'm just going to get the circumference right. So I'm going to go around to get circumference. If you're just joining, say welcome. Thank you for subscribing. Thank you for liking my videos. I'm getting good motivation from the videos I've been putting up. So feel free to check some of the videos I've made earlier on. So I've gotten the circumference. I've gotten the flay for what I need. And I'm going to be cutting it off. Now I'm just going to cut it off. This is the pattern in which I used to cut my flay, and that's what I actually need to get those extra flay for the dress. So this is it. So the next thing I need to do is to bring my organza fabric. I'm using 2 inches, 2 yards of organza fabric. Feel free to use more, preferably use 3-4 yards of it to get extra fullness if your length is going to be more than 8 inches. So I'm using 2 yards and I'm cutting the length of my flay to 8 inches, and that's what I'm going to be doing down here. I'm just going to cut it off this way. I had to cut it up, and the next thing I need to do is to take the pins off and open it. So this is the flay I'm going to be working with. So I'm just going to cut this part open. Then I'm going to be cutting extra flay for it. Then I cut extra flay to exhaust my 2 yards. I'm going to be having an online class which you can ask me questions directly on my WhatsApp. So feel free to send a DM to me to know how you're going to be a partake if you're interested in the class. Now I'm going to be using my gather's foot to gather the M part. That's the fullest part of my flay, and I'm putting my machine to the loose stitch. So I'm going to gather this part. This is not the waist circumference, this is the flay part, the bigger part, and that's what I'm going to gather to give me the extra gathers that I need to make it come out fine. So I've done that, so you can see how it's gathered, and this part I'm holding is actually the waist circumference if you have to calculate it that way. So I'm just going to turn this part this way and sew it the wrong side. I'm just going to sew it so they give me a very nice finishing, because I don't want any frills on my organza. So I'm going to match it this way. So I'm going to take it back to the machine to sew them to become one fabric. So I'm turning the part in which I cut 3 inches, which is the waist. I'm going to gather it together to this other part so it gives me that fullness. So let me put it in the machine to explain what I mean by that. So the down part that is seeing this fullness is the flay. So the other side is the waist circumference. So this is me on the machine. I'm not gathering the waist measurements on the flay itself. I'm going to be taking my time to gather them with my hand and sewing it together so they become one fabric and it is easy for me to sew on my dress. So after doing this, you can go and overlock your machine. So this is how it looks like. So this is the down part. So this is the way it is. You see the fullness of it. Now this part that is full is what I'm going to be using to attach to my dress. So I'm going to be attaching it this way. The right side, this means the full part, facing the right side of my dress, just like this. And I'm going to pin them round and sew like so. I'm going to sew it round, and I'm going to be going in 2 layers. Means I'll go the first time and I'll go the second time. So this is the first part, and this is how it's going to be. The full part is going to be matching the right part. So I've done the first one, and I'm going to be doing the second one. So if you've not overlocked, you could still sew it. Like, this is a tutorial, so I'm not overlocking it, but please do well to overlock it if you are going to be doing this for your client, so you have a very nice finishing. It matters a lot in presentation. So this is it. I'm just going to go back to the sewing machine and I will sew it this way, and after sewing it, I'll show you the end result of the double flay that I've added to the dress. You see the way I'm just pinning it. So this is the double flay that I added to my short dress. Mind you, this dress is short, but it just distracts you from it. So thank you so much for watching. See you in my next post. Bye.